Hello, everyone. We are here for a very special occasion. I want us all to take a deep breath. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. With this third breath, come together with your mind and heart in the same place as we honor a great spirit, Kabby Mitchell. Breathe in and out. We have a tradition in Africa that we do called libation. For those who may not be familiar with libation, we are doing it all the time, even if we don't know it. If you ever seen when someone transcends the planet, the people who's left on earth pour libations. That's what we're about to experience today, this wonderful afternoon. What you see before you is the Ankh symbol. The symbol represents life, and that's what Kabby was all about, is life. We are going to honor first God. And we are going to honor God in such a way this wonderful afternoon that's going to bring us at a higher elevation of humanity. For all that we will experience in this event will bring us into the fullness. As I pour libation for God first, we say, Ashe, Amen, so it be. All meaning the same thing, so it is. So as I pour, say one of those three things. Next, we will pour for all of creation, the elements, and us as a people. We say Ashe. Ashe. Then we're going to pour for our beautiful ancestors, the people that brought us here. We're going to say, we pour for Kabby Mitchell and Kabby Mitchell essence. Let's pour. Ashe. We thank the family and every one of you for coming out, and we then pour again for God giving us the blessing this afternoon. Can I get a big Ashe? Thank you, and God bless.
Good afternoon, Seattle. I'm the Reverend Bertram Johnson. It's my pleasure to welcome each of you to the celebration of life, the celebration of a life well lived with excellence and exuberance, a life of artistry, passion, dedication, and a life of balletic brilliance. We are here today to celebrate to honor and to pay our gratitude for the life of Mr. Kabby Mitchell III. Kabby Mitchell III, don't forget the third. It's good to be here in the beautiful Paramount Theater, this sacred space where spirit and mystery captivate us, to memorialize Kabby. As we all know, Kabby was an outstanding dancer, a trailblazer, an African-American man whose talents and tenacity graced stages that had not previously welcomed such beauty. He was also a respected educator whose vision and commitment to his community are even now coming into life and bringing young minds into the arts and giving them an opportunity to explore their own creative brilliance. Kabby has left his footprint on countless stages and dance studios and upon innumerable hearts throughout the Pacific Northwest and throughout the world. There will never be another person like Kabby Mitchell. And we are all blessed to stand in the glow of his light. I first met Kabby working with Arc Dance Productions nearly 20 years ago. I was a fairly young dancer with some natural ability, but not great technique. Kabby was not really happy with that. But when he invited me to audition for Black Nativity, I didn't think I could really do it. But it was Kabby, with his discerning eye, who could see me more clearly than I could see myself. He pushed, prodded, molded, and sometimes mocked me until I could point that foot or lift that leg unto his specifications. Through his patience, his love and nurture, he inspired me. And as I'm sure he inspired many of you to be the best that we could be. And because of his inspiration and investment in me, I went on to have a career on stage that I never dreamed possible. Mr. Mitchell, I am forever grateful to have shared this life with you. Thank you for your gifts, both on and off the stage. I will always remember your generous spirit, your beautiful smile, your boisterous laughter, your love of cosmos and hot pants, and your unique singing voice. I love you, and we thank you for all that you've been and for the legendary legacy you have left for us. Now, we know for a number of seasons, Kabby was the choreographer for Black Nativity, Seattle's most joyful, foot-stomping and toe-tamping Christmas musical. And right now, it's my honor to welcome to the stage the choir that each night gave life and energy to his choreography. Ladies and gentlemen, under the direction of their founder, the Reverend Dr. Patronell Wright, and the Total Experience Gospel Choir.
My friend, the Reverend Dr. Kabby Mitchell, I call him Reverend because he was always preaching to me. His favorite thing to say to me was, Patronell, God, when you gonna let me sing? We'll be in heaven together, singing together, Kabby. You missed your chance on earth, by the way. I come to tell you that I don't know what the future may hold. And I don't know about today. Cause I know who holds my hand. And I know he leads the way. So come from day to day. I will never fret. Fret. Because the Lord is good to me. He has never failed me yet. Even on tomorrow. Tomorrow might find me broke without a dime. I'm not worried. 'Cause the good Lord will step right in on time. I might be friendless. Sometimes I'm all left all by myself. But as long as I've got a friend in the Lord, I don't need nobody else. Come from day to day. I will never fret, for the Lord is good to me. He has never God has never failed me. Now I might fail you, and sometimes you might fail me, but God has never, 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 never failed me.
Good afternoon. My name is Ed Murray, and I'm the mayor of the city of Seattle. And I'm here not just as mayor, but as somebody who had a chance to know Kabby off and on over the years. William Shakespeare wrote at the end of Romeo and Juliet, "And when he shall die, take him and cut him out into little stars, and he shall make the face of heaven shine so fine that all the world will fall in love with night and pay no heed to the garish sun." For someone who is reaching the stars, I think that quote is pretty incredible. First time I saw Kabby was at the Broadway Performance Hall. A friend of mine wanted me to see Ernestine Anderson, and Ernestine Anderson and Kabby were performing. And I thought, my God, who is this guy? And I had a chance in the 80s to get to know him. But over time, I lost track of him over the years. And then just last summer, I had the honor of presenting him with the Cultural Ambassador Award at the Seattle Center's annual Mayor's Arts Ceremony. So when the Arts Commission came to me with their recommendation, I was so excited to second it. And I was so excited to call Kabby up on stage and honor him for the work he'd done as a performer, a teacher, a trailblazer for the arts in Seattle, and also to see somebody I hadn't seen for a very long time. I had the honor of reconnecting with him over this last year. And today we are here to honor what he has done, to his incomparable resume, which enriched us as a city, becoming the first Black member of the Pacific Northwest Ballet Company in 1979. Think about it, in 1979, a date that was much too late. Takes Seattle time sometimes to move along. But Kabby had the grace, not just on stage, but as he moved to the worlds of art, the African American community, and issues of sexual orientation. He brought that art when he danced as a soloist for the Pacific Northwest Ballet Company until 1984, as a dancer with the Nederlands Dans Theater and the Dance Theater of Harlem, as a teacher at the ballet school, and most recently at Evergreen State College, as a choreographer of the Black Nativity. I just heard from my a staff member of mine who told me that Kabby coached her during that Black Nativity, and she said it changed her sense of herself. It changed her life. And I think that Kabby has done that to so many people. We remember him as a mentor to so many young people, particularly young people of color, who are studying ballet, modern dance, jazz, and African Haitian dance. Kabby's commitment to break barriers as a means of creating culture helped create the civic life of this city. And on behalf of the people of Seattle, it is my honor to thank Kabby and his family and all of you in the arts community who shared him and made this city the city it is. Kabby's obituary describes pictures of him during his 20s when he was first dancing with the Pacific Northwest Ballet, saying that the photo showed a young man clearly at ease with being elegantly airborne. Yes, he was, and he is airborne again. Thank you.
My name is Melba Iko, and I'm the owner of Northwest Tap Connection. I have to give you the intro so Kabby know who I am, because we had a standing joke that I'm that nappy hair, gully geechee Creole chick from the South End. I wouldn't want him to think that I was someone else as I stood here and talked about Kabby Mitchell III. I met him in 1995 when my daughter came home from the Martin Luther King Elementary School and said that there was a Black man, there was a ballet dancer, and he was really something else, and his name was Kabby Mitchell. I would later see him as she became one of the members of the first dance chance at P&B, and Kabby and I would have conversations on a continuous basis. He was very supportive and a man who was committed to dance for Black youth and that continuation. I worked with Kabby a lot as I ran Tap Central, and then later on when I began to really think about whether or not I was going to open up my own studio after Tap Central closed, Kabby was always so supportive. Sarcastic, but supportive. I call him a warrior, because to me, Kabby was a man who really fought for the rights of the disparities of children of color in the arts. He was committed to it. If he came over to my house for Fridays, friends and families, we talked about the arts and what we wanted to see as inspiration for African American children and all children of color in the city of Seattle. The piece that we're going to present today is called Warrior Spirits Walking the Earth, that is choreographed by Mr. Danny Long. And when we started talking about this piece, we didn't know that we would be doing it for Kabby. We were preparing for Dance Theater of 2017. But there's not a better person to call a warrior. than Kabby Mitchell III. And such an elegant one, because Kabby had that way of telling you exactly how he thought, even if you didn't agree with him, you still found yourself smiling and saying, okay, 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 okay. Having said that, definitely Kabby Mitchell is a warrior that not only walks this earth through the minds of young people and old people alike, he has inspired us to greater heights. And when I think of him in my lowest hours, I always think to myself, what would Kabby do? And Kabby would say, keep on fighting, keep on pushing, keep on talking. You know what the bottom line of it is. Having said that, I love you, Kabby, and your warrior spirit, I'm trying to take it on.
give them another applause. Oh my God, my God, my God. Hello, Seattle. Well, I want to thank Northwest TAP for that. Incredible. That incredible tribute to Mr. Kabby Mitchell III. TAP has a special meaning for me as I wrote a show here one time called Women on Tap that premiered at the Langston Hughes Cultural Arts Center. So, takes me back. I'm really thankful to be here. My name is Tanya Pettiford Waits. They call me Dr. T. And I'm here from Richmond, Virginia. I lived here in Seattle for over 24 years, and I knew Kabby Mitchell III from the beginning of my time here. I'm really thankful for this day because I needed to come and celebrate and commemorate with you. I bring you greetings from the East Coast and the members of the Conciliation Project all over the world, including right here in Seattle, Washington. Kabby Mitchell III was a force of nature and a co-founder of the Conciliation Project in 2001. Right up the street there at the Little Theater off Broadway, before it became the Erickson Theater. Kabby and I have been collaborating for most of my adult life as an artist. We were co-teaching a class together, a coordinated studies class at Seattle Central. We started the class interrogating the question, who is Uncle Tom? And together we created the seminal work, Uncle Tom Deconstructed, that established the Conciliation Project, whose mission is to promote, through active and challenging dramatic work, open and honest dialogue about race, racism, and systems of oppression in America in order to repair its damaging legacy. Kabby's choreography and dramaturgical brilliance has been seen all over the world through Uncle Tom Deconstructed. As the company has traveled from South Africa to Zimbabwe to Edinburgh, to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, where it was nominated for an Amnesty International Humanitarian Award, to all over the continental United States, and was featured as a keynote at the 2005 National Conference on Race and Ethnicity in New York City. Kabby created the choreography and the movement scape for all 6 of the original foundational works of the Conciliation Project's repertoire, including, so Kabby's been working all around the world, and folks, many people didn't even know that. We have never severed our artistic and creative ties with one another. The project seminal works, or 6 foundational works included Uncle Tom Deconstructed, Genocide Trail, A Holocaust Unspoken, Yellow Fever, The Internment, Stolen Land Border Crossings, Global Sexism Unwrapped, and PIC, the Prison Industrial Complex. Kabby put his indelible mark all over the work of the Conciliation Project, and this summer, Uncle Tom Deconstructed will launch a branch of TCP in NYC. And the pick will be featured at the Capitol Fringe Festival in Washington, D.C., opening this week. As long as the Conciliation Project continues to thrive, it will carry forward the inimitable work and legacy of our co-founder, Kabby Mitchell III. Kabby's dedication and scholarship in the African aesthetic, cultural legacy, and traditions was always evident in his work and in his critical discourse. His work with Sankofa Theater and the work surrounding the Ma'afa and the commemoration of the Middle Passage experience was lasting evidence of his lifelong commitment to our history and our legacy as a people. Just a few words to sum up Kabby Mitchell for me. Special, magnificent, incredible, deep, brilliant, astoundingly talented, loyal, compassionate, tender, committed, a once-in-a-lifetime being, totally irreverent, generous, giving and loving. Kabby made each one of us feel like his special friend. He not only made us feel that way, he made us know that we were. How did he do that? I don't know. But I am forever grateful that he did, and that I count myself as one of that great number. I first met Kabby in 1980 when I moved to Seattle from New York as a new bride. Today I have 6 grandchildren. So it has literally been a lifetime. He has always been and will always be my artistic partner for the rest of my life on this earth. My love for him is never ending, and I know he loved me too. Who dat? Come to the door at this hour. Kabby, I know it's you. I love you.
Hello, my name is Marie Chong, and I am the Artistic Director of ARC Dance Productions. I met Kabby Mitchell 28 years ago at Pacific Northwest Ballet School, and he immediately became a supportive mentor throughout my professional career as a dancer. In 1992, Kabby asked me if I would dance in a production he was directing and choreographing, The Truth Shall Set You Free. Of course, I was honored to participate and so grateful he asked. I'd like to share a director's message from that program that Kabby wrote. I think it speaks to who he was and what he stood for. My career as a privileged dancer has provided me a spectrum of opportunity and insight. I've seen the pitfalls of hatred and I've learned the balance of success. Through it all, I know that good intentions keep the soul pure. Honesty and discipline repel negativity. True talent rises to every occasion. Unfortunately, our culture doesn't always acknowledge this. I hope that we enlighten those enslaved in misconceptions, denial, and deceit. For those who know the truth, stand confident, tall, and free. For those who don't, let the truth set you free. In 1999, I founded ARC Dance Company here in Seattle. Of course, Kabby Mitchell was one of the first choreographers I commissioned a work from, and he continued to be a strong supporter for ARC Dance. Please welcome 5 ARC Dance Company members and special appearances by Bertram Johnson and Erica Turner, both of whom knew Kabby Mitchell very well, as we present the 3rd movement of Kabby Mitchell's K.
Você for convidado para subir no adro da Fundação Casa de Jorge Amado, pra ver do alto a fila de soldados, quase todos pretos, dando porrada na nuca de malandros pretos, de ladrões mulatos e outros quase brancos, tratados como pretos, só pra mostrar aos outros quase pretos, que são quase todos pretos, e aos quase brancos pobres como pretos. Como é que pretos, pobres e mulatos, e quase brancos, quase pretos, de tão pobres são tratados? E não importa se olhos do mundo inteiro possam estar por um momento voltados para o largo, onde os escravos eram castigados, e hoje um batuque com a pureza de meninos uniformizados, de escola secundária em dia de parada. E a grandeza épica de um povo em formação nos atrai, nos deslumbra e estimula. Não importa nada, nem o traço do sobrado, nem a lente do fantástico, nem o disco de Paul Simon. Ninguém é cidadão se você for ver a festa do Pelô. E se você não for, pense no Haiti, reze pelo Haiti. O Haiti é aqui. O Haiti não é aqui. E na TV, se você vir um deputado em pânico, mal dissimulado, diante de qualquer, mas qualquer mesmo, qualquer plano de educação que pareça fácil e rápido, e vá representar uma ameaça de democratização do ensino de primeiro grau. E se esse mesmo deputado defender a adoção da pena capital, e o venerável cardeal se é que vê tanto espírito no feto, nenhum marginal. E se ao furar o sinal, o velho sinal vermelho habitual, notar um homem mijando na esquina da rua sobre um saco brilhante de lixo do Leblon, e quando ouvir o silêncio sorridente de São Paulo diante da chacina. 111 presos indefesos, mas presos são quase todos pretos, ou quase pretos, ou quase brancos, quase pretos, de tão pobres. E pobres são como podres, e todos sabem como se tratam os pretos. E quando você for dar uma volta no Caribe, quando for trepar sem camisinha e apresentar aumentar sua participação inteligente no bloqueio a Cuba. Pense no Haiti, reze pelo Haiti.
Hello, I'm Francia Russell. Kent Stoll and I were the artistic directors of Pacific Northwest Ballet. Thank you very much. First, I would like to thank Kabby's family for asking me to speak today on behalf of his friends at PNB, and they are many. Many thanks also to the people who've worked so hard to create this event. For all of us here, it's vitally important that we celebrate Kabby and share our stories of him. As Americans, we're not very good at talking about the people we love who have died before us. And what they leave us are our memories. Those memories need to be told, as you all know and are hearing tonight, and they need to be heard. Edna Daigre will surely tell you how Kabby came to Seattle, but it was a real surprise to us when one morning in 1979, he turned up in company class at PNB. Kent and I had barely gotten a toehold in Seattle at that time. Most of our dancers were semi-professional, with an accent on the semi. And here was this handsome guy with amazing flexibility, elevation to die for, plus a ravishing smile, and wickedly sparkling eyes that could dazzle an entire theater. Of course, we hired him on the spot, and almost immediately, Kent choreographed a wonderful role for him in Over the Waves. It's right there. Anybody remember that? And he was cast in virtually every ballet. Kabby loved to tease me, and sometimes, as much as we loved him, he drove us, Kent and me, crazy. A story he loved to tell made fun of both me and himself. He was a Capulet in Kent's tragedy of Romeo and Juliet, but he didn't have a major role that night, so he was bored. Scary. Somewhere he found a huge blonde fright wig. I mean, really huge. And he wore it with his Venetian costume in the second act. You can just imagine. Well, I was sitting out front in the audience. I saw him, and I tore backstage, absolutely furious. I knew where Kabby was going to come off at the end of that scene, so I marched behind the set to stage left. As Kabby told it later, he could hear my heels going boom, 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 boom. And he could tell I was in a fury. So Kabby skittered over to stage right. And then the heels went over to stage right, and he went over to stage left. I don't know how long this went on. But when I finally found him, I looked in that mischievous face, and all I could do was laugh. And we both howled, and he told the story 100 times at least, feeling very proud of himself. He won. I cannot think of another person in all those years at PNB who was as admired and beloved as Kabby. Kent says, and I know we all agree, that just the sight of Kabby always lifted his spirits. But he was part will-o'-the-wisp, and we couldn't quite catch him and hold on to him. He loved to dance. He loved to perform, and the audiences loved Kabby. But his energy, his wit, and his restless curiosity needed more. The great Colombian author Gabriel Garcia Marquez wrote, "Human beings are not born only once on the day their mothers give birth to them. Life obliges them over and over again to give birth to themselves." Kabby felt compelled to give birth to the ever more complex and interesting selves within him. After leaving PNB, he continued to perform. He choreographed, including 4 works for our Summer Inventions and PNB Offstage programs, plus all the works you have seen, most especially Black Nativity. Black Nativity meant everything to Kabby. He loved so and was so proud of it, as we can all understand. He supported his community in 1,000 ways, and he became a miraculously dedicated and inspiring teacher. Not a teacher who performs in the classroom, but a teacher focused totally on his students, changing their lives. With all our sadness, it feels good that we're all here today to keep our memories alive. Kabby and I were fellow Capricorns, with birthdays only a few days apart. There must be a lot of Capricorns out there. Oh, good. Between December 31st, Kabby's birthday, and January 10th, mine, we always communicated special thoughts about each other on silly cards. The sillier, the better. It's impossible to really believe I won't hear from him again, that he won't pop out from behind a corner or come up behind me and peer over my shoulder whispering, "Hi, Miss Russell," which is what he insisted on calling me for the entire 38 years of our friendship. He never called me Francie, it was always Miss Russell. But I hold in my heart his sweetness, his wit, his warmth, his fondness for causing trouble, and his loving heart. And like all of you, I will have those with me forever. Thank you.
applause for the Spectrum Dance Theater. And that's Lena Silverman, choreographed by Alex Crosser. I have something to tell you. I am Kabby's wife. So all of his other wives, would you stand up? Oh my goodness! What about his husbands and all of his husbands? This is what Kabby Mitchell can do. Yes, indeed. And we do not argue. I can even spoon him at night. Because Kabby knew the importance of love of a woman, but he also particularly knew the importance of loving men. The importance of intimacy that we all have with him. Vivian Phillips and I used to call him Kabbalicious. You know, he had a way with words. He would call me and say, "Do I love you? Yes, I does. You're my baby, and you always was." And then he could break out in Shakespeare and so much. Kabby changed my world. Kabby changed the world for all of us. You see, Kabby was a trickster. That smile that you saw, that signifying smile, sometimes would ambush you, but he would cloak you just like in the dance, "Fix Me, Jesus." Sometimes it would have you to see the things of the wilderness inside of yourself, but the smile will allow you to land, a land in Kabby's arms. And then he would do that laugh. That laugh when I said, "Where is Kabby?" And I would hear it in the theater, and I said, "There he is somewhere." I would mention his name standing in the line, and I would stand in the line maybe in Germany or France, and Paramount, Langston Hughes, Evergreen State College, just to see Kabby. And I would mention his name, and people would say, "Kabby Mitchell, Kabby Mitchell, Kabby Mitchell." Kabby Mitchell III knew that I always wanted to change the world. But as Michelle Indigo Ocello says, even sometimes we think we can't change the world. Kabby changes the world for us and will ever change the world for us. He is like what Bell Hooks says. He not only shows you what it is, but he is an artist who tells you what is possible. His study of the Middle Passage and fascism is very important because he sees it and dismantles it in our social policies. We are glad to have him at the Evergreen State College. I remember calling him and saying, "Kabby, there's a job for someone who knows African dance, modern dance, and ballet, and on and on." And I said, "Kabby, you're greener. That's you." It is the interdisciplinary scholarship that Kabby Mitchell brings to everything. Tony Cade Bambara says, and she was talking about Kabby Mitchell when she said it, "The role of a revolutionary artist is to make the revolution irresistible," and that's what he does. Claire Etheridge and I were looking through some archival dance footage, and as a filmmaker, and Claire as the co-founder of Tacoma Urban Performing Arts Center, I knew where to do the edits, and she knew where to cut on the movement. And then we had David Crampton to say, "Well, let's put it all together and put some beautiful music to it." If there's anyone who can change the world, who has changed the world for all of us today and for the rest of our lives, it is Kabbalicious Kabby Mitchell III. So I want to present to you this archival footage of film of Kabby dancing in a way that makes you understand that there is hope. And if it makes you uncomfortable, that's important. It's extremely important, because that's how we change the world.
I give you this beautiful film. It's beautiful because it's Kabby. And I want you to understand, as he told Professor Ming-Sha Lee, a poet and scientist, when she asked him, Kabby, how do you dance and have your fly up and your legs out like this? And he says, it's not about going up. It's about how you land. Kabby has landed for us as he moves up. And this will linger on, this beautiful portrait of Kabby dancing. Thank you.
My friends called me one day and they said, turn to Channel 9, PBS, Dance Theater of Harlem. Kabby, you could do that. I can see you doing that. I was like, yeah, right. And they're like, and the three of my friends, Cherie Ross and Jeremiah Logan, always grabbed me and said, no, you going to this dance class, you going to this audition. I was like, I can't. And once I arrived, I was always fine, but it was just getting me there because I was very shy.
Kabby Mitchell III was my brother, who I love so, so much. Kabby was always putting on shows from the time he was 10 years old. We lived in an apartment complex in Richmond, California, and the management there gave him an apartment just to put on shows. So we would play musical instruments made out of the garbage can and, you know, the swing set, and just make noise and sing. We had a good time. Cab was a good brother, and not just a good brother, he was a good friend. I'm going to miss my brother. But I'll see you again, Kabby, in heaven. Ciao for now. I love my brother.
For
What an amazing representation of a life well lived and a beautiful dancer. So Gilda, thank you so much for bringing that beautiful presentation of the man and his movement. It would not be the same to celebrate him today without seeing him. So we are grateful to have his spirit here with us in that way. Right now, I'd like to welcome to the stage a woman who was actually a prodigy or a student of Kabby Mitchell's. He was a mentor for her for over a decade. Please welcome to the stage now, Maurice Bachman Miller.
Let everybody say, man, let's go, let's go. Come on, say. Yeah. Everybody in the house say, we invite you, Lord, in this place. Dear God, I give you all the honor, I give you all the praise, and I will give you the glory for the rest of my days. I lift up my hands, and I lift up my voice, and I shout it on the mountain, I make Jesus my joy. Lord, we invite your presence, have your way. And let your glory fill this place. Everybody in the place say, let's go, DJ.
Baptize me with your fire all over my body. I'm walking in your glory so I can reach somebody. Had fortune and fame, but that couldn't fix me. I was walking in chains till your Holy Ghost hit me. These are the last days. Days on earth are no judge. We gotta keep moving, sleep no slumber. We gotta keep fighting till the last breath. Gotta let the world know there's life after death. Somebody only give him the highest.
We give you the highest praise for your wonderful ways.
Somebody only give him the highest praise.
Can you see it? Can you feel him? It's his glory. Standing before thee, gotta tell the story like I'm standing up on Maury. It's not gonna sugarcoat it. Jesus made me hold him in the streets, boldly tell them what they told me. Hold it, getting thick. Are you listening? People dreaming dreams, prophesy, having vision, revival breaking out. People crying and repenting. Thousands on foot doing hood street missions. So let's glory, hallelujah, how they do, Mr. Dilla. Cooking up another with my brother on the villa. Coming in the presence and the glory at the villa. Acting like you're hard, but you're softer than chinchilla. When the Holy Ghost take control of your body, Jeremiah fire got you feeling lottie-dottie. Couldn't keep it to myself, I had to tell somebody. Now I'm repping my Jehovah, and I never say I'm sorry. When I step up in the gates, I gotta give them thanks. When I enter in this courts, I gotta give them praise. I ain't worried about a thing, cause I'm walking in faith. Move mountains with my mind, I believe what I say. Hey, hallelujah, hallelujah. When I think about his goodness, it's just doing something to ya. So excuse me, miss, I'm about to keep my shoe up and do my holy dance. All for praise in advance. Hallelujah.
Put your hands to do with good result. I'm telling you, I say that the Lord is pleased with you, that he has placed his name upon your forehead, and he calls you by his own name. I say that God said if you call upon him the more, that he will bless you
the more. I call you blessed. I call you highly favored. I call you a child of the Most High God. In Jesus' name, I speak these blessings on you now. In the mighty name of Jesus, amen.
I should also say that she choreographed that piece in honor of Kabby, so we want to recognize the impact that our mentors have upon us. So we all know the impact that Kabby Mitchell has had on people here in Seattle and Tacoma and Olympia throughout the Northwest, but many of us don't know the reason or the exact reason why Kabby came here. So to do that, we've invited Miss Edna Daigre, beloved in Seattle. Please welcome Edna.
Hello, everyone. I love you too. Anyway, I'm going to make this very short but very sweet. I opened Ewajo in 1974. In the Wallingford district around 45th, it was a little storefront, and it's very small, 800 square feet of space. And it took off. Seattle embraced me. It seems like it was a place for me. It was a place that needed me, and I needed Seattle. So anyway, I was quite successful in starting Ewajo, and because I made it unique, it was something about me in terms of my passion for dance. Not so much that I majored in dance and I became a very professional dancer and went on like Kabby. It was like a way that I could communicate, because I never was too verbal. I could communicate. And what I liked about Kabby the most, when I saw him in Oakland, California, at a studio called Everybody's Creative Dance Studio, it was something about him that made me really want to bring him to Seattle. And when I first saw him, I asked Halifa, I said, Halifa, who's the young man over there who's doing that little penché? He was really, really stretched out. And it was no music, he was just working through some movements. And she said, well, his name is Kabby. And she says, go over and talk to him and meet him. And I did. And the first thing I told Kabby is I introduced myself. I told him where I was from. He thought I meant Washington, D.C. I meant Washington State. And I told him what I was doing there and my passion for dance. And I'm like to bring a lot of people together who, I want it to be more like Dance for Everyone. But I want to focus on the Dunhams, Catherine Dunham's technique. Okay. Catherine Dunham's technique took in ballet, modern, jazz. It was everything. And it was a way like I saw Kabby. He used his technique, which is a strong technique, but it left him a lot of freedom to move and express. And so going back to that point with Kabby, I asked him, I said, would you like to come to Seattle? And do you understand what I'm looking for in terms of a guest artist? He says, yes. I said, can you do Catherine Dunham? Yes. Can you do jazz? Yes. Can you do theater dance? Yes. Can you do ballet and teach little kids? Yes. And everything was yes with this big smile. Next thing you know, Kabby was in Seattle. And it was 1979. And it's with the little small studio, Wallingford. And Kabby stayed with us. He did his residency there, and he started talking to me. Also, he stayed with me for a while. I lived in the north end of Seattle, and Kabby stayed with me and my family. They had 2 sons, and 2 dogs, and whatever. And he stayed there, and we would always see Kabby dancing a lot around the house, in the living room, by the fireplace. He was always doing ballet. But when he first came to Seattle, he expressed his feelings for the classical ballet. But he did Dunham's. He did quite a bit of the Catherine Dunham's technique, and he started a little dance company himself. But after his residency was up at Ewajo, he started talking to me, and I asked him where was he going, and he said that, he really liked Seattle, and he really would like to, do a little bit more in Seattle. So I saw him one day. I wanted to keep Kabby in Seattle, but at this point, I didn't have a lot of work and a lot of things, because I was doing other things too. But he went to Pacific Northwest Ballet, and he came back, and he had such a smile on his face. He was accepted, and it was really, really good. And today, I just want to say that when Kabby left Ewajo and ventured out, he never once stayed away, and he always kept in contact with me, because I think he always thought that he left me and he left Ewajo, but he never did. And he always came back, he always choreographed and helped us out and inspired and encouraged. And also, that strong technique that I just saw when he danced, that's what dance is about. It's about life. Kabby not only had the technique and the freedom to express, he had something very special. He was trying to communicate. And he really brought a lot of people into dance because of that kind of creative expression and that strong technique and that freedom to move. So again, I am so glad I brought Kabby to Seattle. I'm so glad he stayed. He brought many, many friends back tonight or this afternoon, because I have not seen a lot of these people in many, many years. So again, thank you, Kabby, and I really, really love the fact that I brought Kabby to Seattle. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Virginia Johnson, and I'm the Artistic Director of Dance Theater of Harlem. Thank you. I'm really honored to be here, and I'm also heartbroken. I would give anything that this celebration would be for the living Kabby. Though, in a way, it is. The extraordinary individual who was Kabby Mitchell III lives on in our hearts and memories, and in work begun that will continue. Kabby, with his long, beautiful legs, powerful presence, and truth-speaking spirit, were part of Dance Theater of Harlem for only a very short time. But it was long enough to forge an enduring bond with the people of Dance Theater of Harlem, and with Arthur Mitchell's notion that ballet is for everyone. Ballet may have been born in a French king's court, but human aspiration is universal and knows no restriction. In ballet, that aspiration finds expression. Kabby's loss is a triple tragedy. We have lost a great friend who gave us so much joy, and I've really loved the stories that we've been hearing this afternoon. We have lost a leader whose example was an inspiration to so many. And we have lost a future builder who embraced the responsibility to provide opportunity and access to the transformative act of aspiration through dance. My hat is off to the community here who has embraced Kabby and the work that he's done, and that will continue his vision. There have been so many wonderful memories of Kabby, his life here, his work here. I wanted the dance to speak. And when I first got the shocking news of Kabby's passing, I thought immediately of this work by Jose Limon. It's a solo that he created for himself to music by Bach. It's called Chaconne. This afternoon it will be danced by Devon Doan, one of our principal dancers at Dance Theater of Harlem. It is a work that epitomizes the dignity of the human spirit and the journey of life. Ladies and gentlemen, Chaconne.
is Dr. Joy Hardiman, and I've come to celebrate the life of Kabby Mitchell III. Thank you. I had the honor of being part of Kabby Mitchell III's life. He was part of my past life, my present life, and he will be part of my future life. He was part of I first met Kabby in 1979 when he was at Ewajo Theater, and I had just moved to Seattle, and I was taking a class, and Kabby and I were talking, and I told him what a marvelous dancer he was, and he told me he needed a place to live, and I told him I was living above the Paramount Theater, and he said, I want to live there too. And knowing Kabby so I introduced him to Ulysses, and within 5 days, Kabby was living at the Paramount Theater. And that was the beginning of many marvelous artistic collaborations. We did shows together. The first one we did was called Honor Libation, in which we acknowledged the ancestors and realized that it was really critically important that people understood that African American history did not begin with slavery, but in fact went back to the beginnings. And Kabby really knew that and really appreciated that. And so when I had a chance to direct a show called Home by Sam Art Williams at the Ethnic Cultural Center, and I had this incredible cast of Charles Canada, Patty Holly, and Demi Moore, I knew I had to get the best choreographer in Seattle, and Kabby came and choreographed the program, and it was the best production that the Ethnic Theater had ever seen or done in its life. And so I thank Kabby because he basically allowed me to through his enthusiastic, to be my artistic best. But that wasn't the last time I interacted with Kabby. Kabby moved from my past into my future, and that was when he became a faculty at the Evergreen State College. And I had the privilege of being his teaching partner, his colleague, his road dog, and his debriefer of all the kind of microaggressions that happened to us during the day on the campus. And we would just talk. And by the time we got home, by the time we passed McCord, we were back to our regular selves. And so I thank Kabby for keeping me whole during all that time. We taught some amazing classes. Gilda mentioned that Kabby was not only a dancer, but a scholar, that he had an MFA in dance with a minor in African American history with a specialty in the Middle Passage. And Kabby was the one who taught me not to be ashamed of the Middle Passage, not to think of it as a place of trauma and a place of dread, but a place of resistance, a place of resiliency, that just as we have absorbed the trauma, so have we absorbed the wisdom. And Kabby taught me how to reach back into the ancestors and pull back that rhythm, not just intellectually, not just physically, but spiritually. So Kabby Mitchell was my teacher. Kabby Mitchell was also my model for academic preparedness and for teaching excellence. Kabby was a consummate reader and a consummate TV watcher, and his lectures were magnificent because they had film clips and they had things from popular culture, and every now and then Beyonce would come popping across the stage. Probably the most memorable memory I have of Kabby as a teacher was one time he had been showing Revelations to the class, and we had a young man in the class who had cerebral palsy, and at the end of the class he was very tearful, and we went up to him and we said, "Hey, what's wrong? What's up?" And he said, "I'll never be able to dance like that. I'll never be able to move like that." The next day, Kabby came in and put on the music of Jesus, Help Me, Jesus, and basically did a whole choreography from the waist up that the whole class did. And you could see the young man just dancing, and you could see the joy on his face. Kabby loved his students, and they loved him. We used to call ourselves Dr. J and Professor K. And lastly, Kabby gave me a chance he was an inspiration for me because he forced me to move beyond binaries. He forced me to move from my best self to my higher self. His work was capsulized by a student who said, speaking of Kabby, a good teacher can teach you how to love the text. A great teacher can teach you how to love yourself. Kabby Mitchell taught me to love myself. And so it was great honor that I introduced some of my colleagues and as well as my mentor from the Evergreen State College to speak to Kabby. First will be George Bridges, president. Next will be Kenneth Tabbitt, interim provost, and never last, but after which is Dr. Maxine Mims. Kabby's oldest wife. And then I'll come back to introduce Claire Etheridge.
Welcome, y'all. Joy, I did not know that Kabby had so many wives that included Beyonce. First, hey, Kabby, we miss you. We miss you at Evergreen. And I'm so honored to speak at the celebration of your life. Thank you for blessing us with your presence. When Kabby Mitchell III entered a gathering at Evergreen, the room changed. We relaxed, we felt secure, and we knew that Kabby would elevate the importance of whatever we did. At Evergreen, Kabby, he was a pillar of hope and inspiration. He invited everyone into his world with authenticity, with warmth. He welcomed everyone with his absolutely radiant smile, his spirit of unrelenting optimism, and of course, an embracing hug. Evergreen is a college both at its Olympia and its Tacoma campuses that cultivates creativity in our students, where our faculty, weave the academic disciplines together, viewing knowledge as a beautiful mosaic of the arts, the humanities, and the sciences. And I'm relatively new to Evergreen and only had a few opportunities to interact with Kabby in my short time there. But each of these moments struck me as fundamentally real. Kabby was real. For an artist so talented, an educator so accomplished, he had no pretense. No sense of his own importance to dance, to our college, and most certainly no sense of his own importance to our students. And now and forever, we will miss the freedom he enabled each of us to experience by virtue of his own openness and his engaging interest in others. A month before he passed, he and I were discussing one of his students. The student was failing miserably, and Kabby could only wonder, with deep curiosity and concern, why? That was his question. There was no judgment, there was no criticism, only a genuine concern that a completely dedicated, student-centered member of our faculty would have. That conversation told me so much about him, about his commitment to our college, about his commitment, even more importantly, to individual students and their success. He was a gift to Evergreen, a gift to our faculty, and a gift to our students. and dance was such an integral part of his life. Martha Graham described dance and dancers with the following words: "There is a vitality, a life force, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium and be lost. The world will not have it. It is not your business to determine how good it is, not how it compares with other expression. It is your business to keep it yours clearly and directly, to keep the channel open. There will only be one Kabby Mitchell III in all time. He was a vital force for many here today, and most certainly for the Evergreen State College and the many generations of his students. Kabby, thank you for the gift of your presence on our campus and in our community. No one can or will ever replace you. You made Evergreen a much better college, and we are eternally indebted for all that you've given us and how you have touched all of our lives. Thank you.
So I was asked to talk about how his students viewed Kabby. I knew Kabby as a faculty member, as a colleague, and as a friend, but I wasn't quite sure how his students viewed him. I never had the opportunity to team teach with Kabby. Dr. Joy Hardiman obviously did. She could probably tell you more about how his students viewed him than I could. So I did a little research. I read evaluations that his students wrote of Kabby. We do that at Evergreen. I read student statements. I talked to some of his teaching colleagues that team taught with him. And of course, I went to ratemyprofessor.com. There are absolutely no surprises. His students found Kabby inspirational, compassionate, accomplished, authentic, indelible. Words that we've already heard tonight. He worked with all students. In our classes down at Evergreen, they're interdisciplinary. They're team taught. So he worked with students with absolutely no experience in dance. He worked with students that feared dance. He worked with students that feared movement. But he was successful. He turned students around. The story that Dr. Joy Hardiman just talked about, the disabled student, that's what Kabby did. He did it in the classroom. This morning I was trying to remember when I first met Kabby. And for the life of me, I just couldn't remember. And then I realized that I think it's because the first time I met Kabby, he met me with his smile and those eyes and that warmth that made me feel like I knew him forever. You know what I mean? I don't know how he does that. When I was reading through student comments about Kabby, two words came to the surface. Kabby personified strength and grace. He danced with strength and grace. He taught with strength and grace. and he lived with strength and grace. I know everyone at the Evergreen campus at the Evergreen State College is going to miss Kabby. Thanks.
Good afternoon. I'm the old one, but I tell you, I'm the first wife. You know, at my age, it certainly is nice to always have a young Kabby around. Because what is left for me to look at certainly does not look like Kabby. And it's just been wonderful all of these years being around Kabby. It keeps me alive. I'm going to miss him. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Kabby was like my son. Like my son. And I was sitting back there thinking, you know, Joy, wasn't that something for Joy to get up there and do what she did in front of her president? But Joy, come on out here, because we've known Kabby for such a long time. He's like my son, and I have been very, very sad. At my age, it gets harder and harder and harder for me to do this. It just has pulled something out of my heart. And I can't see the family, but I'd like all of us to stand and give a round of applause to the family that shared Kabby with us for all of these years. Thank you. But I was thinking as I was sitting back there and talking to Josephine and saw some friends, I thought, what has Kabby left for me? He got a little selfish. And he left for me something that I want to share with you, and that is that Black matter lives. Black matter lives. And as long as we can have the Kabbys of the world teaching us how to lower the vibration, to lower the noise of aggression, to lower the noise of jealousy, to lower the noise of gossip, to lower the noise of competition, then the movement of this person will be with us for all of our lives. Kabby has left us a mantra, and it should be, let the Spirit speak publicly at all times. Kabby has taught us to move away. He's left a legacy of moving away from the substance of your existence to the essence of your existence. The essence of your existence means that you can combine and integrate body, Kabby's body, Maxine's body. Those are some gorgeous bodies. Body, mind, and spirit. And with that integrated assignment, the spirit and the legacy of Kabby Mitchell III will live for generations and generations and generations. And you will find that your relationships to collaborate with others, to form the gathering of the Spirit, will become meaningful. And we can lower the aggressive noise, the competitive noise in this society. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mims. I mentioned that my involvement with Kabby involves my past life and my present life, but it also involves my future life. I was given the honor last week of being asked to be the president of the board of directors for the Tacoma Urban Performing Arts Center, TUPAC. And I accepted it gladly, not just because of my love for Kabby and my commitment to carrying on his legacy, but also for my total admiration of our next speaker, Claire Etheridge, who took on this role, who had been planning with Kabby for the last 2 years about opening a studio, and who, when Kabby made his transition, after deep reflection, decided that yes, she would carry on his dreams, she would carry on his legacy, and she has been working tirelessly the last 2 months to put together his studio, which opened yesterday. Opened yesterday! Opened yesterday! And you could see Kabby smiling at all these little black and brown babies kind of tutuing around like this. You know? I mean, it was amazing, and so I would like to bring to the stage, and I would like to welcome Claire Etheridge, and I want you to stand for her, because this woman needs your support. She's carrying on Kabby's vision, and we honor her, and we say thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you all very much. Well, I'm glad Joy said what she said, because it cuts down on the words I have to verbalize. Yeah, we did start this 3 years ago. Kabby had a vision, and he wanted to be sure that the children of Tacoma had a school that they could go to where they were going to receive quality dance training. The schools that are in Tacoma, there are no teachers who really look like us and understand our bodies and our wants and our dreams. So I will read a few words that Kabby wrote when we are planning on starting the studio. Imagine the possibilities where there are deserving children who are underserved and at risk. Those children live each day struggling with academics, complicated family lives, and with emotional and physical challenges. I have seen these children leave the dance floor with a renewed and resilient spirit of hope, better able to handle the problems they face because of the inner peace they derive from the beauty of dance. I would like to introduce to you Diana Starr Robinson and her mother, Portia Robinson. Diana Starr is our first registered student. She is the future of Kabby's legacy. We plan to have this school be here 100 years after we are all long gone. And we hope this young woman will realize her dreams of being a ballerina. She has the support of a wonderful mother who is now heading our volunteer group within the school. And we're off to an amazing start. And I just want to close by saying Virginia Johnson has gifted us beyond our wildest dreams by teaching our first ballet classes tomorrow at TUPAC. And I will close by saying, please help us keep Kabby's legacy alive. The majority of our students will be on scholarship, and we could use the help to pay for our teachers until we can get our grants going. And so we can see a future, Tacoma sees a future, and the arts and Kabby's legacy will continue. Thank you.
How's everybody doing? Kabby is deeply loved by so many in our community, and today we have a special gift of musical presentation by Josephine Howe and War Arunga with a great gift of love for our beloved Kabby. Please welcome them.
Good afternoon, everybody. So right before we start this presentation, I would just like to say that this song is being presented because each and every time that Kabby and I would meet, there would be a phrase that would go forth. And we'd look at each other, because I was his wife too. Just thought I'd put that out there. Yeah. We would look at one another and we would say, they don't know the cost. They don't know the cost. So to my husband, I'm just gonna do this for him. Okay. The room grew still as she made her way to Jesus. She stumbled through the tears that made her blind. She felt such shame. Some spoke in anger. Heard folk whisper, there's no place here for her kind. Still on she came through the shame that flushed her face, till at last she knelt before his feet. I know she spoke no words. Everything she said was heard as she poured her love for the master from her box of alabaster. Forget the way life used to be. See, I was a prisoner to the sins that had me bound. And I spent my days pouring my life without measure into a little treasure box I thought I found. Hey, until the day when Jesus came to me and filled my soul with the wonder of his love. Yeah. So now I'm giving back to him oh, the praise he's worthy of. I've been forgiven. That's why I love him so much, so much. I've come to pour my praise on him like oil from Mary's alabaster box. Hey. Don't be angry when I wash his feet with my
Good afternoon. Thank you all so much for joining us. My name is Josh LaBelle, the Executive Director of Seattle Theater Group. This is our board president, Ricardo Frazier.
Thank you all for being here.
Help us first thank everybody who put this together, all the presenters and the artists, such as Josephina Noir. Incredible, incredible tribute to our blessed friend and colleague, Kabby Mitchell III. I want to give a personal thanks to someone who you've not seen on stage tonight, and that is the ever-present Vivian Phillips. Vivian, please take a bow, come out. So you're getting quite a peekaboo into the theater family with Vivian, with Ricardo, with Kabby. If I could just say a couple things, it's that Kabby Mitchell III, as a board member of Seattle Theater Group, as a Center Stage Council member, as someone who helped shape our education and community programs, participated in them, he leaves us stronger and more passionate of an organization than I could ever imagine. It's been such an honor to have Kabby part of this family. He'll always be part of the family, just like the two people right here behind me. On an interesting note, you saw Virginia Johnson came all the way here from Dance Theater of Harlem with one of her incredible dancers. The relationship between Dance Theater of Harlem and Seattle Theater Group and the Paramount Theater is directly related right back to Kabby. It was Kabby who helped inspire us to rekindle the relationship with Dance Theater of Harlem. Golly, it was about 18 years ago now. And I'm honored to say that a few months ago, our board, which is an incredible board, went ahead and said we're going to commission Dance Theater of Harlem as part of their 50th anniversary, some new work. At the time, none of us knew that Kabby would leave us, that he would transition. So I would say we're doing that now in Kabby's honor and his memory, commissioning new work from Dance Theater of Harlem that you'll see in Seattle whenever Virginia and the crew finish it, but hopefully within the next 2 years or so. Just personally, when I was given the incredible honor by Ida Cole, our founder, who's in the room here somewhere today, to lead this organization. Kabby was a board member, and he asked me for drinks one day after a board meeting. And I had a big fruity drink with him. And he said three things to me. He said, first, I believe in you. Second, that he believes this stage was his church. And third, he said, I think you feel the same, and because of that, you should just always see me as your big brother. Whenever things get crazy, and he says, I hope they get crazy, you can call your big brother anytime, anywhere, and just talk. I'll be honored to be your big brother. So I didn't expect to be helping host a tribute to my big brother, Kabby, but here we are. Now to Ricardo, who's got some more memories of Kabby.
Thank you, Josh. So let me say that
as the president of the board of directors, I owe that leadership position directly to people like Vivian and especially Kabby. You know, you don't get to a certain place in life without someone opening a door for you or paving the way. And so I thank both Vivian and Kabby for their work. Now, I've known Kabby for about 25 years. I think it was Francine that mentioned that she's a Capricorn and Kabby's a Capricorn. So my birthday is the day after Christmas, and Kabby's is the 31st of December, so we're both Capricorns. And every year, Kabby would call me around that time so that we can connect and reminisce and talk and have some drinks. This past year, he called me. I think I was in New York, and I missed his call. And for many of you who have an iPhone, you know you can set a reminder to call back. So I set a reminder to call him back. Well, that reminder went off, and I was still busy, so I extended that. And I did that 3 or 4 times. And then the next call that I received was from Vivian, who told me that Kabby had passed away. And so my heart was broken because I just assumed that I would see him. The thought that he would not be here didn't even cross my mind. So I just want to share that with you so that if you are putting something off, something that simple, right? Make that call, right? Don't put it off, please. It hurts me to this day, but I have, you know, some really fond memories of Kabby. In our effort to connect, a couple of years ago, he called me and he had me over for lunch. So he fixed a great meal, great lunch, salmon and salad and some sweet potatoes. And, you know, we sat there and we ate. And I looked around his place in Tacoma. And I remembered that, oh, Kabby loves photos and pictures. And he likes collages, right? And behind me was this amazing picture of Kabby and Beyonce, right? And I looked at that and I thought, Kabby, it's you and Beyonce. When did you take that picture? And he said to me, Jay-Z better look out. All right? And, all right, I'm like, what the hell is going on? I mean, just this, right? Jay-Z better look out, right? So for all the women who believe that you are his wife, watch out, right? So here's what Kabby did, right? Kabby cut Jay-Z out of the picture and put himself in that pic, right? So he photoshopped himself with Beyonce, right? Hey, I thought it was real, right? You know, I think it's really appropriate that we are celebrating Kabby's life in this building. Not only his connection to STG and his work on the board and the Center Stage Council, but I don't know if many of you know that when this place was built in 1928, it was built with apartments and offices next door. We call it the Tower, so there are apartments here, right? And the idea way back in 1928, I think, was to have housing for artists. Think about that, affordable housing for artists. Wow. All right? Radical, right, Josh? But back in the day, when I was a freshman in college, I lived upstairs in the apartments, and Kabby lived up there as well. We lived on the same floor, and it was just a group of artistic-minded folks who lived here. Joy Hardiman, Dr. Hardiman, was directing for the group theater at that time, and she lived here. Terry Morgan, who plays with Leroy Bell, and he is a concert promoter, he lived here as well. Sid Clark, lots of musicians. There was an older lady that lived here. She might have been in her 80s. We called her the Grand Dame of the building. I think she was around back when the theater was built, actually, in the 20s. Very cool lady, man, and was always coiffed. You know, she went out and she had the umbrella when it was too hot in Seattle. And I remember Kabby and I would walk, her name was Heidi, and we'd walk her downstairs and we'd go for walks downtown when you could walk downtown. This one time we're walking, Kabby and I were on the inside of the sidewalk, and Heidi was on the outside so that if cars are going by, things would splash on her, right? And she pointed that out to us. She says, hey, a gentleman never lets a lady walk on the outside, right? Because, the buggy may splash. And I thought, the buggy? So Kabby and I, from then on, whenever we walked with Heidi, we walked on the outside. I was saying, though, that we lived upstairs. And so this building, I think, for Kabby is very special. Not only did he perform here, not only did he participate on the board of directors, but he lived here as well. So I believe that his spirit is still in this building. And if you believe, like I do, that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, right? And that, Kabby's energy, his spirit still remains in this earth and is still doing work, right? And I believe that. Then as busy a person as Kabby was, as energetic as he was, his spirit will eventually get a little tired, right? And when his spirit gets tired, know that the place that he will come back to rest will be here. It'll be here. So I'm happy that we're all here together celebrating Kabby's life. Thank you so much.
So it's Ricardo and I's honor to welcome Kabby's family to the stage. Patricia, any of you who care to join us, please come on up.
There's a lot of us, but what I want to say right now is this is Kabby Mitchell the Fifth. Yeah. So this legacy does live on. And Kabby Mitchell the Fourth, he's going to say something for us.
First, wish Kabby Mitchell the Fourth happy birthday, please. Thank you.
Uncle Cab, I'll always take a second seat to you on my birthday. So, it's a pleasure to be here. I just want to thank you on behalf of our family. Uncle Cab in heaven, just looking down on us. I want to thank the city of Seattle, Tacoma, just for being there and being a family for my uncle when our family was either in California, out on the East Coast, because he had people, he had friends, and those relationships and those bonds, those friends that he had were his family. So I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart that my uncle could just connect with everyone and share his life to his fullest. I always remember as I was a young child, I probably was 8, 9 years old, Uncle Cab telling me, you know I'm the better looking Kabby. And that's fine, I'll concede, but K5 might have him, so. Another thing I'm always gonna remember is his realness. 100% of him was you were always getting. All of his embodiment, all of his emotion, and his passion. So it's just awesome to see. So to his wives out there, I'm sure the constant 29th birthdays that you were celebrating had to be awesome. So what's nice to see on being here is his legacy just being moving forward, because his passion was dance, his passion was people, and through TUPAC, through the Tacoma Urban Performance Arts Center, that's just going to continue to move on through the Pacific Northwest. So I just want to thank you. Thank you for being here for our family in this time. And just, we really appreciate today. It's been awesome.
I'm surprised I'm able to speak. My mother let me. It's wonderful to be here to celebrate Soul Brother Number One's life. He was and is love, personified. That spark that he roamed life with touched everyone. There was no life that he touched that didn't feel him. He was, I'm grateful that I got to spend this last winter, Christmas, birthday time with him. And he was able to touch my family's life and my life one more time. That live, laugh, love, you know, picture, you guys ever see that? That's Uncle Kabby. He lived wonderfully, fullness. He laughed wonderfully, fully, and he loved wonderfully and fully. And that still lives on today, and it's not going anywhere. I get to look up at that picture and it says it all. That mischievous smile, those eyes looking at you, that comfort zone that he automatically put you in. He was and is God. And it's amazing that we're here on a Sunday, in his home, in his church, in his home, in his city, that just like the young lady who came in here, it was on time for her, it was on time for him. I'm very grateful, as my brother so eloquently put it, to be here in his home, in his church, celebrating his life with you guys, with my family, and understanding that he will always live on in K5, in K4, in K6 when he may come along. Uncle Kabby will never die. He will just live on. See? He's ready to get out and dance on that floor. You go ahead. But my minute is up. Kabby's minute will never be up. Remember him always, as you will, as I will. And I'm just wonderfully grateful to be here celebrating with you guys. This is amazing. You know, this is amazing. Give yourselves a hand. That's it. Thank you.
You can remain standing. Thank you to the family and blessings to you as you celebrate and continue to remember your beloved Kabby, and we will carry him in our hearts also. Did y'all have a good time today? Did you have a Kabby good time? We want you to continue the spirit of joy and celebration. There is a reception happening in the lobby. Thank you all for being here. It would not have been the same without your spirit and your love for Kabby. Please go in his name and in the joy that he brought into your life. Thank you for being here today.